Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Data Transform. In this video, we are going to be discuss about the data types. Okay, so name itself describing that types of data we have. Okay, so first we will try to understand what is meant by types of data. So in the previous video, I have explained how database is going to be stored the data. Correct. So if you want to store anything into the database, first of all, we have to create the tables, because database is going to be store the data in the form of tables. So if you want to store anything into the database, first you have to create a table. If you want to create table in your file, directly you can create using the insert table option. But in the database, it's not like that directly. Before creating the database, you need to have idea about the what is the table name and what is the columns the table is going to be have and what kind of data each column is going to be stored. Okay, so what it means, what kind of data, here we will try to understand in the document. First we will try to understand the data in the table. If you look at the employee number, all the values are numerical values. If you look at e-name, all the values are characters or strings. If you look at the hire date, all the values are date format. Same way salary is having the numerical data. This is called type of data. So the field is storing the which kind of data, either it is numerical data, character data or string data or date format data. So before creating the table in the database, we need to have idea about this type of the data each column is going to be get. Now we'll go back to our slide. So these are the data types we have in the databases. So these are the high level. There are some other also, but these are the commonly used. First, we'll try to understand about these data types. So as name itself, it is saying first one is number. So if you want to store any numerical data into a particular column, that column you have to define with number data type. If you want to store strings or characters into a column, any of the column, then you can define that column with the char or varchar. These two data types will support to store the strings data or character data. Okay, so what is the difference? We will try to understand in the next couple of minutes. And if you want to store the date format data into the column, then you can define with the date or timestamp. Any of this one timestamp. Date will help us to store the only date part like day, month and year. But timestamp will help us to store along with the date and time also, like date, month, year and hours, minute, seconds also. So this is the next level of the date. Clear? Now, if you look at, we have two other data types, nchar and varchar2. These two are similar to char and varchar2. If you look at extra only, we got n there. Okay, what are these data types? These are similar to char and varchar2, but char and varchar data types are not capable of storing the Unicode values. But nchar and varchar2 are capable of storing the Unicode values. Okay, char varchar will not support storing the Unicode values. Nchar and varchar2 will support the storing the Unicode values. If you know the what is meant by Unicode values, then that is good. If you don't know also, don't worry, because it's not going to be play key role in our this SQL training. Okay, now we'll go back to our document. If you remember our previous videos, if you want to do any operation in the databases, we can do only through the SQL. Like ANSI and ISO qualified our SQL as a standard language for maintaining the database. Like if you want to create a table or insert the data or delete the data or update the data or retrieve the data, anything for any operation in the database, if you want to do, you can do through only SQL. Okay, SQL is nothing but structure query language, nothing but it is going to be have some queries. For anything you have to write a query. Okay, now we are going to be see how to create a table basic syntax. Okay, I'm going to show you. I will explain it theoretically. Practically we will see later. So already I have that syntax. Here is the syntax. Okay, so this is how we are going to be create a table. If you remember, if you want to create a table, first you need to know what is the table name, what are the uh, columns the table is going to have, and what is the data types of each and every column. Right? We discussed it previously. Here is the example. Here is the syntax how to create a table. Create table, table name. And what is the table name? What we have to going to create EMP. What are the fields of the EMP table? Column 1 and its data type. So here you have to define the data type of that particular column. If you define a number, then it is going to be accept numerical values. If you define a char or varchar, then it is going to be accept strings. If you define a date or timestamp, then it is going to be accept date format values. Okay, so this is how you have going to define a table. And extra, there is one word called length. What is meant by this length? For example, if you take example, if you see here ename, okay, so what the ename first value is king is the name of the employee we are telling. Totally how many characters we have in that total string? 4 characters, right? So the length of this particular string you will call as a 4. Okay, same way Ford length. Ford is also having 4 characters in its string, right? In his name, right? So his length is 4. If you go to the Smith, there are 5 characters. So the length of this particular string will call as a 5. Okay, so whenever you are creating the table, you have to define data type of the column at the same time length of that column also. What is my length means what is the maximum size of the value it is going to be allowed into that particular column. For example, for ename, I am defining length as a 4. Okay, I'm for employee name column, I am defining length as a 4. Then it will allow to insert maximum of 4 characters for each name only. If you look here, king is the 4 characters, it will allow to insert. Ford is the 4 characters, it will allow to insert. But Smith is having the 5 characters in his name. So if you try to insert the Smith into my table, ename column, it will not allow, because when I am creating my table, I defined length as a 4 characters only. If you define as a 5, then it will allow. So while you are creating the table name is important, column names are important, and what kind of data is going to be coming to that column is important, and length of that column also important. Length of that column means what size values, what are the length of the values you are going to be getting to that column is also important. After knowing all these values only, you can able to create the table. Okay, for example, we'll try to create a table here. About table, how this table, if you want to create in the database, how we will create. So create a table name is the emp, right? This is how we will give. Enter, open the brackets. What is the first field? EMP number. And what is the data type we have to decide there? It's a numerical value set. We have to give us number. What is the length, maximum length of the values you want to allow? All the employee numbers are having maximum of 4 digits only, right? But I will make as an F5. Your wish. Maximum it will allow 5 digits. If you enter less, no issues. Okay. Next, what is the second column? We have ename, and data type we have to define as a varchar or char. Anything is fine. Okay. Varchar 2 of I'm defining as a 10. So difference between char and varchar I will explain. Don't worry. And next, third, what is the data type? We have high date, right? I mean, next column is high date. High date data type we have to define as a date. For the date fields, you don't need to define the length, because always date will have the same length, right? There is no change in the date length. It will have date, month, and year. The format is constant and the size also constant. So you don't need to define the length while you are defining the date data type. And next, what is the fourth column? We have salary, a new number data type, that is. Okay. And length I am giving as a 5, and enter, close the bracket, semicolon. This is how we are going to be create the table in the database. So in this file directly, you can go to the option and insert table, you will create. But in the database, if you want to create everything with the queries only, create. So this is the simple example how to create the table. So this is how we are going to be define the data types. Next, we will try to understand what is the difference between the char and varchar data type. So here already I have taken one example. I will try to explain that example here. So if I have defined a employee name column with the char and varchar both. To understand, if I define with the char, what will happen? If I define with the varchar, what will happen? I am going to explain here. So ename field I have defined with the char data type, given length as the 5. So maximum characters it is going to be allow 5 for each value entered into that column. Same way, a ename column here are defined with the varchar data type, maximum length is 5. If I enter the data into this particular column, ename column, I'm trying to enter the king as a input for the my employee name column. So totally how many characters we have in that king? Total 4 characters, right? So automatically whenever you insert the any length string into a char data type column, it is going to occupy maximum size for each and every value. What is the maximum size? Here size defined as a 5 characters, right, for this column, but we have entered only 4 characters. If you are entering 4 characters also, it is going to be occupy 5 character space in the storage. Constant. If you enter 2 character string, 3 character strings or 4 character string, it will occupy total 5 character space for each and every string. It don't care about you are entering the 2 strings, or I mean 2 characters or 3 characters or 4 characters in that string. It will allow or it will occupy total character space. At the for each string, it is going to occupy 5 character space. I think nothing but a constant length. Okay. But coming to the varchar 2, whatever the characters you are entering, only for that characters, it is going to be occupy the spaces. Even though you are defining as a 5 in the length, but the space occupied in the database is depend upon the value you have entered into that column. So king is nothing but 4 characters, right? If you are entering the data into the ename column, we are defined as a varchar 2, it is going to occupy only 4 characters because we have entered the 4 character string. So it will occupy only 4 characters. But if you define as a char, it is going to be occupy 5 characters even though you are entering the 4 characters. So the name itself, it is saying var means variable length character. Depending upon the value you entered into that column, the length of the space of the occupation of that column is going to be changed. Clear? So this is the fixed length, this is the variable length. If you know that constant size values are going to be coming to that particular column, then you can define that column with the char data type. If you don't know that, if you know that dynamic sizes values are going to come into that particular column, then you can go for the varchar 2, like employee name, customer names. You don't know, right, which employee will have how much strings in his name or how many characters in his name. At that time, you can go for varchar 2, like college codes or gender. In such scenario, you can define that with a char data type. So this is the difference between the char and varchar 2. That's all for this video. Please let me know if you have any questions. I will try to answer in the comments. Thank you.